investing money to get people to come to St. Louis. We want our community anchors not to get priced out of your neighborhood. So I talked about the senior property tax freeze, and we brought applications here. We are supporting community-driven redevelopment plans that have prevents using eminent domain for residents that actually live in their homes. There's a bill that we just passed in the right north of, or in Old North St. Louis. And we're providing tools to help you stay in your home and get help with repairs. So we got the Healthy Home Repair Program. That's $15 million in ARPA funds, and we are on pace to more than double the number of homes that we have repaired this year since last year. And we're creating pathways to build generational wealth through home ownership through the Home STL program. You can qualify for up to $50,000 in home buyer assistance through the Home STL program. And in Hyde Park, we broke ground on the Be Well Farmers Market and Pavilion to provide healthy local food options. We are also preparing for summer. We know what happens when it gets warm in St. Louis. I don't even need to tell you, but we are preparing for summer. And it's the best time to be in St. Louis, honestly, because there are all sorts of things, besides the weather being all crazy, but there's all sorts of things to do, live music at parks and festivals. It showcases the best that our city has to offer. You've got Twilight Thursday's about to start, the Missouri History Museum, the St. Louis Plays Whitaker Festival, or my personal favorite, the Muni Opera in Forest Park. For those who use the Fairground Park pool, we know it's been shut down for a while because we've had to make repairs. Well, it will be reopening Memorial Day weekend. And if you are a parent or grandparent, aunt, uncle, or somebody that cares about young people, Slate is here for you. Slate. They're a rowdy bunch. Later this week, they'll host an open house for graduating seniors that are graduating from our public schools. And we pulled together corporate, philanthropic, and nonprofit partners in one place to post post-graduation jobs for our babies, because college isn't always the right fit for everybody. So if they're graduating and they're not going to college, send them to Slate. We can give them a job. Also, the Department of Human Services has submitted their application to provide summer food assistance for families, so the list of those locations will be coming out soon. And following the tragic death Juneteenth weekend last night, which I saw as a cry for help from our babies, I pulled together our partners at the Mental Health Board, the Office of Violence Prevention, the Police Department, Parks and Rec, and our local young people to figure out what they need and what they want to do. And we have been slowly delivering on those promises. So our rec centers will be open again this summer, late on the weekends. We're trying to get 4 rec centers this summer. I don't know if we'll actually get there, but we'll at least have 2. We'll have bonfires and late night basketball leagues, and so much more. We want them to have a space to be safe and have fun and be kids. And speaking of what we did last summer, I believe it directly led to our decrease in youth violence. Our juvenile shootings were down 47%, and our youth victims of gun violence were down 50%. They're also hiring utility workers. And speaking of hiring, you no longer need to be a city resident to work for the city. You no longer need to be a city resident to work for the city. You no longer need to be a city resident to work for the city. We've hired over 50 utility workers to maintain our parks and LRA lots and stay on schedule with grass cutting. Mr. Jankowski knows that I will even sometimes put on my forestry shirt and get out there on a mower and cut some parks myself. I am not above doing that. And we'll have the exact same cooling centers as last year to support our unhoused neighbors when the temperature gets really, really high. And those will be also posted on the city's website. We came up Page where we came from downtown. And I know that Page is a major thoroughfare through our city. But how many of you know that Page is not a city-owned street? It's owned by MoDOT. It's owned by MoDOT. And so MoDOT completed their safety audit recently of Page Boulevard. And their designer has been hired to design the streets, potentially doing a street diet, like maybe how you see on Natural Bridge. And work on Page Boulevard will begin in 2026. So I wanted to report that to you. So it's coming down the pipeline, just need you to be patient. And we have allocated over $40 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds for major thoroughfares in our top 10 crash intersections. So 3 of those are near where we are tonight: Kings Highway in Del Mar, Kings Highway in Lyndall, and Lyndall and Whittier. We will also be repaving our major thoroughfares like Union, Kings Highway, Goodfellow, So the Board of Public Service is here. Stand up, Rich Bradley. Show people who you are. So we're planning a series of open houses this summer to show you all the proposed designs and ask for your input, because that's a part of the process. The whole process, from the time that the money is allocated to the time that the work is completed, can be over 800 days. Do you hear me? Because we want to do it right, and we have to follow certain steps in order to do that. So the next step is the open houses this summer to show you the proposed designs and get your input. The engineers are working incredibly hard to finish the designs this month to allow construction to begin this fall on those major thoroughfares. So what else? We also we'll be starting some residential paving this spring and summer. So look in your wards for that. And if there's a street that you think needs to be repaved in your ward, call your alderman. Your alderman is the person who's responsible for providing funds to the streets department, or BPS, to then get those streets paved. Okay, so if there's a particular street in your ward, it starts with your alderperson. And speaking of traffic safety, I want y'all to pray for me because my son just got his driver's license. And he is eager to drive, and the last sort of bit of leverage that I have over him is like, you can't drive my car if you don't have a B average. So he's working feverishly to get that B average up, and I'm hopeful that he can, but I'm secretly praying that he doesn't. No, don't tell him that. On public safety, I know that that's an issue that's near and dear to everybody's heart. We are putting the public back in public safety and making you safer in the process. We follow 3 tenets of public safety: prevention, intervention, and enforcement. And it's a holistic approach that brings everybody to the table. So, to give you an example, a recent call came in from a client into 911 who asked for EMS because they were having suicidal thoughts. When our crisis response unit arrived, which is an officer and a behavioral health professional, they didn't want to talk about their crisis and they wanted to go directly to the hospital. They did everything they could to gain that client's trust and demonstrate their desire to help. Soon after, they became at ease, and our team was able to develop a safety plan and set up an appointment for that person to see a behavioral health provider the next day and save her life. Partnerships that we are employing in order to keep everybody safe. It's not just police officers, it's not just firefighters, it's not just EMS, it's also behavioral health professionals and trusted messengers and people who have had actual experience, actually all working together to keep everybody safe. Also, we raised wages for our 911 dispatchers, and we're building a state-of-the-art 911 facility. The national standard is that more than 90% of calls should be answered in the first 10 seconds. This time last year, St. Louis was at 50%. Well, I'm proud to report that we are hovering around 80% of our calls answered. Again, we have fully funded the Office of Violence Prevention, which funds over 30 community organizations that prevent and interrupt violence, and we're bringing people together to make you safer. We launched a regional violence reduction strategy with surrounding counties everywhere from O'Fallon, Illinois to O'Fallon, Missouri, because crime doesn't stop at our borders, and neither should our solutions and interventions. We are committed to reducing the homicides by 20% over the next 3 years using focused deterrence, cognitive behavioral therapy, and trusted messengers, and that process starts next week. And we're fighting like hell to maintain control of our police department. See, again, those outstate legislators who don't know jack about St. Louis want to tell us how we should run our police department. And I think the person who knows how to run the police department is right here. Not them. Since Chief Tracy has been hired, he has attended over 150 community meetings just in his first year. And if we want to talk about what a state takeover of our police department can do to our city, just look at Kansas City. Now, this is no dig against my brother, Mayor Quentin Lucas. He knows I love him and he loves me. But the Kansas City Police Department is controlled by the state.
That's right.
And last year, they had more murders than us.
That's right.
This year still, they have more murders than us. Now, every life lost to gun violence is one too many. But how can the chief having 5 bosses instead of 1 make us safer? The math ain't math. It's not. So if you want some homework, call your state representatives and your state senators and tell them to fight like hell to keep our police department under local control. So, in closing, it's an exciting time to be here in St. Louis. I don't know about you, but I feel the excitement in the air. I feel like we are turning a corner, and we are committed to bringing people together to solve problems that impact you, each and every one of you. We're putting in the work now so we can continue to create the stories that people love to share about our city. Everywhere I go that somebody finds out that I'm from St. Louis or I'm the mayor of St. Louis, they all have a wonderful story to tell about a family that used to live here, visits that they made here, or they used to live here themselves and have moved away. All roads go through St. Louis. All roads go through St. Louis. And it's up to us to make sure that we we are telling our own story about the great things that happen in this city. Because St. Louis is like somebody's cousin or uncle. You don't want anybody else to talk about your family, but you don't talk about it, right? But when you do talk about it, I want you to tell positive stories. Because what we speak into existence becomes a part of our reality. And we don't want that reality being that St. Louis is some, crazy city, right? Or St. Louis is old, or St. Louis is just on its way down. St. Louis is on its way up. It is. I don't know about you, St. Louis is on its way up. So thank you again for joining us this evening, and thank you all for spending a little bit of your evening with us. And God bless all of you, and I'll open it up to any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Jones. We'll move into the question and answer period for this evening. We'll start our single file line right in front of me, so if you have a question, please get up and start to form the line right here. And as folks are doing that, just a couple ground rules for the evening. You'll have 3 minutes to ask your question. Angela Pearson, Behind me, we'll have 3 signs. She'll give you a 1-minute warning, a 30-second warning, and I believe a 10-second warning. Please be respectful. Limit your question to a question. Limit your question to a question. And please introduce yourself with your name, your address, or your neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm a resident of Hamilton Heights. So my question is brief. How do we, like residents of what you call North St. Louis, reconcile the need for safety with the need for racial equity? While we cannot incarcerate our way out of our crime epidemic, there must be justice and accountability for those who choose to continuously wreak havoc upon our neighborhoods.
I don't think that one, like, I'm just gonna pass you this mic.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
So I think it starts with, well, not I think, I know it starts with collaboration in the community. It starts with going into communities and engaging people. Accountability can happen in many ways. So first, it's also about understanding the harm and the trauma in communities. It's understanding that there's multiple voices in communities. So when I think about the Office of Violence Prevention and what we do, when we think about funding organizations, we fund organizations that look at restorative justice practices, right? And they look at people who do harm and people who are harmed and potentially bringing them together to reconcile. But we also have, we also fund organizations that look at trauma, right? And trying to help people deal with, maybe they were shot and they're impacted by a bullet, right? Or maybe they weren't impacted or directly penetrated by a bullet, but they were impacted in an emotional way, in a mental way, and we want to address that issue there. That has nothing to do with people being held accountable for the harms that they do. Our focus is on violence prevention and intervention, working in communities, showing up in communities and making sure people are aware of resources that are available to them to get help. Because, you know, I was asked a question not too long ago about weapons and guns in communities, right? My job is not to focus on whether those laws change, but focus on how we exist in the context of what laws exist. That has nothing to do with what the chief and the great job that they're doing happens. They're going to handle that accountability that's meant to deal with people who've done harm, and charges can be brought if there are charges that can be brought against someone. But we have to deal with what is left even in the aftermath, because nobody wins in a shooting or homicide. There's no good outcome. People are impacted that aren't even directly related to that incident between those two people. So it starts with being in community, it starts with listening to community, it starts with making sure there's multiple types of resources that are available, but we need to start conversations in community, which are happening. I see someone right in front for Farrakhan. We have a public safety collaborative that we fund. There are people who live in community coming together to decide how they can best address the harm and the challenges in those communities.
Yeah, when you take a look at the community and you talked about the balance of holding people accountable, and then you talk about prevention and intervention. I'm big with focused deterrence, trying to give people a chance out of crime that have gotten into it. And then when I look at the communities, and I got Major Donnell Moore, who's here, he's standing in the back. Just raise your hand, Donnell. So I count on Donnell, one of my majors that used to have the 6th district, now he oversees the 5th and 6th district. And the strategy we put in place is to make sure there's a balance of over-policing or under-policing a community. And how you get there, when you look at the people with the highest propensity for violence, it's a very, very small amount of people that are committing most of the crimes. So what we've done in policing, and it's been done, and I don't agree with, and we've changed a lot of our strategies, is that we would flood the community with hundreds of police officers. We would arrest everyone, regardless of just the lowest level crime. We would bring crime down, but we would actually lose the trust of the community because we're not working with the community. We're arresting everyone to get the few that are causing the problems. We know who they are, but we're trying to work with them first, give them options through Office of Violence Prevention, focused deterrence, trying to work with some of the root causes before they get there. But if they're going to continue to cause that harm in the community, our officers, we're going to hold them accountable because that's what the community is asking us to do. And we go to every community meeting and making sure that we go to one throughout the city. my major's there, my commander's there, my officers are there, because the only way we're going to be able to reduce crime without over-policing is to be working together, hearing the concerns, going to the areas people are asking us to go to. And I think those are the things that I think are working. And, you know, it's a short term. We've only been doing this a little over a year, but we saw some very good progress in our first year with a 20% reduction, over 20% reduction in homicides, lowest in 10 years. We want to build off that because, as the mayor said, one life lost is too many, and I agree. We're even with last year, we're still below from years past. And I think we got to build off that, but I think it's going to take a little time, it's going to take trust, and I think this type of policing goes a long way, and I think that's where you get the balance of the question that you just talked about. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Yes, ma'am.
Well, okay, my name is Robin Hughes. I live in 5833 Plymouth. Been living there for 31 years. And those Elsa Place apartments, everybody want to brag about. They let people go up in those apartments when those apartments are empty. And they live up in there and they create problems. And when you go to them, they don't do anything about it. You understand? And I'm retired. I've been retired since 2012 at 54 years old from Boeing Aircraft. That's not becoming. And just saying, we need help. People are up in there right now that should not be there. They should put more cameras and lights, you know. People I seen AK-47 3 times from the apartment people. And I let them know I see, you know, but that's okay. Everybody needs protection. But that's all I'm saying. They say one thing and they do something else. And they got trash all on Plymouth. And that's, no, they don't do what they're supposed to do. Because if they did, I wouldn't be here.
Yes, ma'am, we will note that, and take a closer look there. Okay.
Thank you so much. Next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Ann Jackson, and I live in the north side. I live at 5641 Summit Place, and I've been here in St. Louis all my life. And my concern is really deep. Well, first of all, I want to give St. Louis Forestry and the port a praise for what they do in our community. They do an awesome job. I know we need more people to come and, you know, and get hired, but what they have, I thank you for that. But my really concern is this nuisance. I'm with this lady here with this nuisance. How's we gonna ever get our community together when we have drug activity that's causing problems with people that own their property, moving into their mother home, and people is trying to run them out of there because they want to be right and want to get rid of the problem. And then, not only that, when they call the police, it's like everything is over with. You know, what is it going to take for us to get better service in this community service from our police department and from the other division of the city, of the building inspector and all of the others?
So for starters, again, as we are constantly hiring, and even though we have a hiring freeze, we're still hiring for essential workers. And a lot of times, you know, the job market has changed. A lot of times people don't want to come and work for the city. They don't want to do these jobs. And we try to increase pay, for example, for our CDLs, for our trash truck drivers. At one point, we had a $3,000 hiring bonus for new drivers, and we got very few applications. Nobody, not saying nobody, but again, it's very difficult. This is a difficult labor market. A lot of people want to work from home, and want to do remote work. You can't be a remote worker and cut grass in the city. Those two things don't work. But we're doing whatever we can to try to bring more people in the door. We hired the Department of Personnel is here today, Sonia Gray. It also used to be, it took a long time to get a job with the city. We wouldn't call you back for months But under Sonia's leadership, we have computerized our hiring department, and we're going to be launching new software in the coming months, so you'll be able to track your progress. When you apply for a job, you'll be able to track your progress through the hiring process. And also, we're hiring more officers. I think we have our largest class of recruits going in at 28. 25, that number seems to get far smaller and smaller. 25! And we're doing that hiring on a rotating basis. So instead of just waiting until we fill the class and then starting the class, we're doing that hiring and starting those classes on a rotating basis, so we will have classes graduating about every 2 to 3 months. So we're doing everything we can to fill those positions, and also realizing that we're taking a look at the data, right? We're taking a look at how long it takes to answer your questions when you call us with CSB and let us know that a tree is down. We will track that data to see how long it took us to respond and have conversations with forestry, with parks, with all of the departments to make sure we're delivering services in a more efficient and equitable manner. So we're hard at work. We're hard at work to try to fix it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jones.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Hennings. I have quite a few concerns, but I'm going to just try to address a couple. One is the violence in the neighborhood. I live on Capri, Wallington, and all I'm hearing is gunshots, and I was wondering if, in fact, if you do get more police officers to work, will they walk the beat like they used to back in the day, or just cruise through the neighborhoods to see what's going on in the neighborhoods? Because I'm constantly hearing gunshots. I lost both my sons through murder. 5 months before I lost my youngest son, I was shot, so that's why I'm in this position. Right now, I was a barber and a beautician, I can't do that anymore because of the gun violence out here in the streets, and I was randomly shot, didn't bother anybody. And I know it's a lot going on. I'm thankful that you're doing something for the children in the community, opening up the centers to give them a place to go. And I'm thinking about examples, these lots. Last year, they cut a lot. Once that year, I called constantly till the end of the year, they finally went on and cut it. I'm seeing rats. You know, rats will hibernate in tall grass. I'm cleaning out my back porch, getting it ready. Hopefully I can get Mission St. Louis to help me with my home. I'm cleaning out the back porch. It had to come from this lot. A big dead rat, thank God. It was dead. It had me shaking. I swept it off the back porch into the yard. But I'm concerned about all of these things and more. Like my neighbor's house looks like it's about to fall down in my yard. And these things I've called the city about. I've really got no response. But I have a lot of concerns. I'm listening to what's going on, and I don't know what to do other than to let you all know.
So can we have a conversation afterwards? I've known you for a long time, and I hate to hear that you're going through that. So let's have a conversation afterwards so we can address your issues directly, okay?
And what he was talking about when you get shot and the PTSD and all of that, I haven't had any place to go to address other than the grief meetings from the parents, other parents, and that helps me to deal with a lot of things because I'm amongst those parents that lost their children through gun violence.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing, sister? We grew up together, also Attorney Christensen. And the bigger part of North St. Louis, where we live now, my dad's 92 years old, thank you, Daddy. And that shooting that went on yesterday from Taylor between Ashland and Elm Bank. We've made, can't begin to tell you, at least 10 calls on the Poor Family Flat where a lot of those young men are hanging out. And I'd love to walk you over there after this meeting and show it to you. And along with that, Ashland, Taylor, Elm Bank, Newstead, we have people who just park cars randomly and leave them there. We call, ask the city downtown, City Hall, number 21520, asking them to come and look at this, taking pictures down there. But when you call, they put you on hold, they never come back. So I went down there because I worked for the city at the moment, at a time. And still no reaction. We can show you and tell you where all this stuff is happening, but you gotta come to the rescue. And like the young lady just said before, you know, we only got 6 or 8 policemen working in that area at the time. I know it's gonna be hard. But trust me, we want to tell you and help you, but you gotta help us so we can get it done. And we're up against the wall right now because the bad guys know that there's not gonna be a lot of reaction on the part of the city. And so we have to come. And the other part of that is you're looking for individuals who want to help and work in the city. I work with an organization called Urban K-Life. And we're in every major public school, Sumter, Oman, Vashon, Career Academy, and we're working with these young boys and young girls, and they're ready to take on these jobs. A lot of them won't be able to make it to college, but they're ready to come work with the city. We invite you guys down and be a part of that. Golf tournaments, we have all kinds of job festivals. So we have the resources, but we definitely have the need. And my dad is 92 years old, been a part of Most Holy Rosary Church, Saintburg. As all that has gone downhill, he still hangs over that corner, and I help him. And this is no accident. As I was cutting the grass, I saw those boys who had those AK-47s running right by me last night. And all I could do was pray, because I didn't believe that another call would get somebody over to that neighborhood. So our hands are tied. And we'd love for you to visit with us.
So thank you for those comments. Lady, earlier, I'm sorry that you got shot and that you've gone through the gun violence, the trauma that you've gone through, and what everybody goes through. Will Pickney talked about, that's real PTSD and what the community goes through. Everyone that's shot, gunfire, or homicide, it affects everybody in the community. It actually affects the whole city. And there's studies on how it really can bring the city down, and we can reduce those things. But it's a several-pronged approach, or a three-pronged approach. First, reasonable gun laws, as far as who can carry guns and carrying in our city. And we're up against that. It's something that I'm going to be down in Jefferson City tomorrow, testifying against state control. So we're going to be I actually have a conversation with our elected officials about reasonable gun laws that can help keep our community safe. That's number one. When it comes to the shots fired, one of the things that we do have, and lady asked about having foot posts. Well, there's not a police department that has the luxury where we used to be in the United States, having a foot post in every corner. Central West End has additional resources because of something else. But we're actually going to take a look at how we can do things. But here's one of the things that coming in the United States, 911 calls take priority. And we have to make sure that we're answering those calls for service. And when we do those, we have to make sure that we're answering in a timely manner when we make that phone call. What we're trying to do is take calls out of the queue. The mayor talked about having other people handle jobs instead of the police. And that could give us more time to deal with more priority calls. That's number two. Number three, I talked about having Major Moore here. I talked about the opportunity now coming out of the pandemic. I've talked at community meetings, coming out of things where we can get back to policing and try to get back to where we used to be, where we're having those conversations and building that trust. So you do have that phone number to call when you see not only 911, but we're getting ahead of it at community meetings. Who's carrying the guns? Who's parking the cars there? who's having the narcotics operations, or I can send drug investigation teams in. We can work out a plan on some of those things with our major and our commanders, but we have to get in the room, and that's what I'm trying to do, is make as many community meetings as possible, build that relationship, so it's not just about a 911 call. And then when it comes to shots fired, one of the biggest things that we need to leverage, and a lot of cities have it and haven't leveraged it, is ShotSpotter. ShotSpotter gets us to the scene very, very quickly to an area where if you hear a shot's fired in an area, you don't know exactly where it is unless someone's hit. But we can get closer to the scene where we can render first aid. That happens all the time because we're the first on the scene. But we also, what we have to continue to do, and I press on our police departments, pick up those shell casings. Those shell casings, when we correlate them, help us identify who the trigger pullers are and help us solve homicides and shooters and make better cases so we can get some of the people that haven't taken some of the resources that are still causing harm in our community. And those are the things that we're going to continue to do, try to get better at, and then try to get back up to budgeted strength. We have slowed attrition now, and we're making sure we're going to try to build this police force back up to what its budgeted strength used to be after a lot of people left in the last few years. But we're not the only industry that have seen that. We're going to get that back up, and I see a lot of people coming back into this profession to make sure that we can do the job that everybody's expecting us to. But in the meantime, I think these community meetings, leveraging technology, listening, having those calls, Major Moore is listening in the back. He will be taking information down. Ma'am, you talked about your incident and what was going on. I'd like to hear more about that so we can work together with my commander and my major on some of the issues that you're experiencing too. We're hearing you. We'll take those addresses down, and it might not just be about policing, but we can help coordinate with the other city services, with the mayor's office and the rest of the team that I'm part of. So that's some of the promises that we're looking to do with the community.
Hold on 1 second. Thank you so much, Chief Tracy. We'll move on to the next.
Major Moore, can you raise your hand and make sure that you connect with this gentleman? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Sorry about that interruption about the south side, but I'm strictly a north side person. I come up on Goodfellow and Vernon. We're the first students to be bused from Dozier School, sneak through Forest Park. Let me say something in regard to the state taking over our department. Right now, we've got an incident where there's a young man missing, 19 years old. He's a resident in the city of St. Louis, but he's been missing now for 3 months. Now, Kansas City, Missouri has state patrol officers. They have an attempt to help this grandmother find her grandson, college student. He lives here in St. Louis. Hell no, we don't want the state to take over our department. That's crazy. I met Chief Tracy. I didn't meet him, but the first 3 that come up on that stage, I was there. Let me say this. My concern is all these deaths that's in the Justice Center, but I'm more concerned about the deaths that's in these penitentiaries. I had to go to Charleston's Correctional Center. My son was in a coma. They told me he was dead. I said, damn lie. I got up. I spent the day, the night, all night, sleeping in the car. I met Mr. Bill Stang, the warden of the Correctional Centers of Missouri. We need someone to say, go in that Justice Center, chastise those guards. Can't get up in there unless they bring it. I can't put signatures down there because they're not City St. Louis residents. Most of them live in Illinois. I watch a lot of things happen in that Justice Center. I'll say this again. Before I come down with colon cancer, I'd be locked up twice every year. So I can tell you what's happening in the Justice Center. You got people that go in there, may live out of Hillsdale, Pine Lawn. If those people can't get a bond, they sit 3 or 4 weeks. I had to create a riot to make them come there and get some act right. We want some act right. Police our neighborhoods. And we need some residential policing in our neighborhood, because I don't see them. I'm out here every day. 45 years as a civil activist. They don't call me Joe Perk for nothing.
Mayor Jones, do you want to address the question about CJC and improvements we've made at the city jail?
I'm going to ask Chief Coyle to address that.
Thank you for your question. CJC, the Justice Center for decades has had problems. There's nothing new. But we have made some tremendous gains. You haven't seen it in the news as much. We have dealt with areas where it was lacking. I had mentioned some time ago, we were losing people because of suicide that hadn't been pronounced as suicidal, right? We have made changes in that. We now have the state coming in dealing with mental health issues for some of the worst detainees that have that. We have done tremendous work with the medical issues. And it doesn't seem like that long ago, but I don't think you've heard of anyone having that kind of issue within the last 2 months or 3 months in CJC. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Thanks to Mayor Jones, we now have the health department involved with medical in the Justice Center. We have a medical doctor there that oversees the care that the detainees get. So we are making efforts to improve the Justice Center. The drug issue, you mentioned the drug issue, which is right. Drugs can come in wherever there's interaction with the person in the detainment. So whether it's a third-party vendor, whether it's a staff member, whether it's visitors, whether it's attorneys. But we're taking steps for that. We're taking steps so that we can determine who may be bringing things in. Now, we have not had the issue in a while with it, but doesn't mean that our job is done. It's going to take a lot of work. It's taken a lot of work over the decades. It's going to take us more work to continue doing what we're doing. The Justice Center has improved, and we work on it every day to make sure those improvements. But we bring dogs in. We have areas where we kind of check on sales to make sure they're not there. So we do recognize the problem, and we've been dealing directly with those problems.
Thank you so much, Director Coyle. Lakeisha, will you wave for me, please? Lakeisha will be the end of our line this evening, so we'll move to the next person.
Good evening, Mayor and Sarah. My name is Maureen Williams, and I live in the Fountain Park Woods Place community. And while there are many things that we are working on, there are 3 that have been mentioned tonight that are of great concern to me personally, and I think maybe to others as well. First of all, dealing with the rescue funds, I got excited, like the mayor mentioned earlier, that the potential of North St. Louis being improved, the small businesses having an opportunity that they ordinarily would not have. It's extremely exciting also because we as a family are small business people. And with that came also a lot of disappointment, because while this has been talked about for a very long time now, back I think almost a year and a half when we came to our meeting, no money's been done. Even our neighborhood organization that has been given some responsibilities have been told that they have a certain amount of money, and then they said, no, you're only going to get 1/3. I think that has been changed. However, no funds. People actually started as a community to work that goes along with the application, but no funds from the city, absolutely none. The process for the small businesses has been discouraging. We know a lot of small businesses, they became discouraged, stopped the process, and some just said, honestly, we told you you shouldn't have wasted your time, because nothing has been put out into the community. And then the small business people have been told, we're going to allocate to you a certain amount of money when we think you need it. And it's a very cumbersome, difficult to understand process. Now, we're hanging in there mostly, I'll be honest with you, because I believe you, Sorrel. I believe that you really have a heart. I don't know that you know all the processes. I don't know if they share everything with you, but it's been very difficult. So that's the first thing, if somebody can address that. Secondly, is the police. Recently, and this is, I understand about the working, the people some of my former students and others in our community actually are police officers. My Sunday school teacher is a retired police officer. However, when you call the police and tell them the man is shooting at a lady in front of my house, and the neighbors come out and they stop him for a while, he shoots at her again. And then we call the police over and over again, and they come a half an hour later. Nobody's on the street now. Luckily, she did not get hit. She hit behind cars. And people were afraid that their cars were going to be damaged. And happily, it did not get damaged. But then it took a neighbor talking this man out of the street and killing her. The neighbor is not a professional. So if that can be addressed, this timing thing is horrible for us. I don't know what it is for the rest of the city. And then lastly, building and forestry, 2 years of calling forestry, 2 years. One's the LRA home, one's a vacant privately owned home. No response. Our neighborhood facility person may have gotten in trouble because he got out and cut the weeds down that were taller than an abandoned car that was on the street. Those are real problems for us here in St. Louis.
So Jared Boyd's going to answer your question about the small business process.
Ma'am, thank you for your question. Jared Boyd, Chief of Staff, and I do some work with some of our development agencies. And with respect to the corridor grant program and a lot of our grant programs, while the mayor talks about these large figures for relief, so corridor grant program, let's say there's $30 million. Whenever we do a program like that, we get $400 million worth of applications. Same thing with some of our large CDA funds. And with the corridor grant program, there's 700 businesses that applied. Not all of them had the correct information. And our departments had to do about 500 interviews with programs. So we hear you. It has been a long process. This is something that is new. There is a lot of demand and a lot of need for small business assistance. And $30 million sounds like a lot of money, but when you have $400 million worth of applications, 700 people who are applying, those resources are scarce, and we have to dot our I's, cross our T's. So I hear you, it has taken a long time, but the awards will be announced next month. So please bear with us. As Mike said, we get this money out. We do not want to send money back to the federal government. So ensuring that this money is spent appropriately, but it just goes to show that, businesses that have been denied capital, have been denied loans, have been denied access to money, there's still a great need, even though these ARPA funds are starting to address that issue. So hopefully, not hopefully, but announcements will be made in May, and if there are other ways that we can support your business, we will. I saw a neighborhood manager here tonight. Is Curtis here? If there are any other, we've got another neighborhood manager. SLDC has neighborhood managers. Would definitely ask that you get with one of our neighborhood managers to talk about other resources that are available for your small business.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, my beautiful people of St. Louis. Lovely to see you all. Mayor, Travis Wolf, Ellie Bentley, Kylie King, these all have been people that have been affected because you do not back law enforcement. You do not, and the hypocritical responses from law enforcement about the gun control, come on, we know criminals don't follow the laws. And Mayor, let's be honest, every diversity mayor like you like the one in New York, Chicago, LA, have destroyed the cities that you lead. Look, unemployment is rising. St. Louis has shootings almost every single.
What's your question?
I'm getting to my question, so allow me to finish. My time is still up. So, people are leaving. Shootings happening almost every single day. The law enforcement is not getting the support they need. I am part of the National Guard, and so I took an oath to protect the greatest country on earth. But yet we have people like you that are hypocrites, and then they are criminalizing.
Okay, you know what, I'm gonna cut you off now, because you're not gonna stand in my community and call me a hypocrite. You're not gonna, excuse me.
Why is my phone going to be taken away from me?
Excuse me, no.
Okay, answer the question. What are you gonna do to make the city safer? Because you're definitely not backing law
I'm
enforcement.
already at work. Ask any of the law enforcement here if I
Okay,
back law.
tell me what.
Ask any of the law enforcement here if I back law enforcement, and they will tell you yes. They got the biggest raise in 20 years under my administration. We hired a world-class chief from outside to come to St. Louis. The first chief hired from outside of our city in our entire city's history. So public safety is important to me. Our homicides have gone down 40% since I became mayor in 2021. We are safer. We've come a long way, and we have a long way to go. But you're not going to come in my community and call me a hypocrite. I'm not going to have it. We can have a dialogue, and we can be respectful, but I'm not going to have it. You can excuse yourself. You can excuse yourself. No. Next.
Next question.
Next question.
Thank you.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Timothy Kelly Jr.
Wait, let's wait for a second. I'm sorry, y'all, my inner north side came out.
Okay. Right. All right. Go ahead, talk. Okay. Well, my name is Timothy Kelly Jr. And I lived in St. Louis for a few years downtown until I just moved back to my hometown in Cahokia Heights, just right across the water. And I'm an advocate in my community and activist in my community, but I love St. Louis, and St. Louis has a lot of beautiful people, talented people, and I just want to say thank you, Mayor, and the whole cabinet, because I can feel the change in St. Louis. St. Louis is such a beautiful city, and despite, the issues that all of us face in our cities, I really do see the development and the change that's coming to St. Louis. And my question was, what can I do to help as well? I want to be a part of this team and the part of, the positive change that I see.
Thank you. So ways you can serve, we have tons of boards and commissions that are looking for volunteers because a lot of our decisions are made by boards and commissions, and they have wonderful volunteer citizens who serve there. You can also look on our website to see if there are any jobs open you might be interested in. And if not with St. Louis, with city government, also SLDC and our other partner organizations. And just stay in touch. We would love to keep in touch with you about how to engage. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next question.
Hi, my name is Precious Jones. I lost my son, Preston Jones, he was 20, to gun violence in June 17th of 2022. So, my concern is the narrative being pushed off that our violence and homicides are going down tremendously. I don't see that. And I think that having town hall meetings is okay, but I think that you all need to actually get out into the community. It's the difference between being in the community with boots on the ground outside in these neighborhoods versus coming into buildings like this and talking to us, because I've been to so many meetings. My second thing is when I visited Chicago, I was really shocked by how they had police, like police cruisers on each corners of their high violent areas, and it was way more peaceful. I think that that's something that you all should maybe think about doing because, like, obviously, I was caught in the crossfire the other night, bringing my grandkids in the house. Had nothing to do with me. I literally had to almost roll under the car because 2-3 cars came flying down the street shooting at each other. I could have been dead. So it's a lot of work that needs to be done. So I don't think that I just don't like the narrative that's like, oh, it's low. It's not. It's a lot of crime. It's a lot of shootings that happen that's not being reported. So I think that I challenge everybody up from this panel to actually get outside in the communities, walk these neighborhoods, talk to the people in these neighborhoods, see what we need. Come into these meetings, I get the same thing. We'll talk to you, we'll connect with you. I might have a need or two with the person that takes my information, and then after that, it's nothing. So go outside into the communities. And how we go out in that.
My condolences for your loss. I have also lost it. Since I became mayor, I've lost 4 relatives to gun violence. 1 in Chicago and 3 here. And nothing can replace the holes that you feel when they're gone. And I hear you when you say you don't feel like crime is low. It's lower, but it's not low. And we have come a long way, but we have so much more work to do. And we won't get there overnight. Some of the things that are tying our hands is the gun laws. In the state of Missouri, we have some of the most lax gun laws in the country. The NRA doesn't even play here anymore because they don't feel like they have any work to do. That the Missouri legislature has relaxed gun laws to the point where they don't even feel like they need to be here anymore. And lax gun laws not only keep us in danger, but also our law enforcement and our first responders. So while we can't address that, we did start an Office of Violence Prevention in 2022 and have fully funded that in this year's budget. But that work also takes time. We took that work from Newark, New Jersey, for example, as the same size population as St. Louis. Their Office of Violence Prevention has been there for 10 years. And in 10 years, they have reduced the number of homicides per year to around 50. So we're right at about 150, 160 now, as of 2020, as of the end of 2023. We have a long way to go. But it requires all of us working together, and it's a divide and conquer strategy, basically. We have to use prevention, intervention, and enforcement. So we start with prevention with the Office of Violence Prevention and Trusted Messengers and the organizations that they fund. And also with intervention, again, with the Office of Violence Prevention. And if those 2 things don't work, then we get to enforcement. And we also have a good circuit attorney who will now keep people in jail who were getting out before. They would commit crimes and they would get out and they would still wreak havoc on our neighborhoods, on your neighborhood, on my neighborhood, which is not just across page. So I hear it too. It wakes me up in the middle of the night. So I feel you. I feel you. And just know that we are hard at work every day. We won't get there overnight, but we will get there. We will get there.
Thank you, Supervisor. We still have 2 more questions. And also, if you're the driver of a black Kia with handicap tags, your lights are on. So go check on your car. And also, if you have a comment card, please raise it in the air, and Jonathan or Kevin will come by and collect it.
Good evening, Mayor, everybody. Let's see. First question.
Who are you?
What's your name, sir? Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, Mayor. Elston McCown. Reverend Elston McCown, as a matter of fact. And I was trying to be nice and calm, cool and collected. This microphone, hands on people, is a dangerous 8565 Riverview. I had a mattress sitting there for about 2 months so far. Nobody's picked it up, so I don't know if you got somebody who talked to me about that. Very happy to see the refuge workers are here, and that Sonia Gray confirmed with me that they are essential workers. So the refuge department won't be going anywhere, and they probably need more people to help them. So probably somebody can get that mattress off the side of my house. You know, you almost think I'm having a real problem, but you all addressed all the questions that you all asked before me, really addressed a lot of things that I was concerned about, and so I didn't really have very much to say. But I do know that the refuge workers had some concerns, but your director of operations, Nancy Cross, has agreed to talk with them, so everything's handled. Keep up your work, and you got my vote now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Final question of the evening.
Thank you. My name is Lawrence Wachuku. That's my civil engineering. We are up here on Lindo. Mayor, I just wanted to say you are doing a great job, and I want you to continue in our support. Now, on the other hand, your staffs, since I've been engineering, I have class engineering question. I thought that tough. But your staff are able to debunk some of the major projects and make it accessible to companies of my size, of smaller businesses, and that's a great way to bring equity and inclusion that we seek. But there are also some other agencies within, they may not be working for the state government, or to the city government, they are here still with tax dollars that do not do what you are asking, what you are implementing, because what they are implementing works perfect. But what they are doing is having everything in a lump sum, and those of us that have internships, we have interns from SLU, from neighborhood areas, and also interns that are even high school kids that just finished high school. We provide them with training. I have a lab as well as a medical office. So providing those type of relationship and nurturing and growing these kids, we do all of that. But it appears that we're not getting too much out of it, except your people, because your administration is excellent. They know how to bundle these jobs. But many other agencies that collect tax money that are here do not do that. And that even the ones that you work for a long time do not do that. And that's a concern that we have. We just need a support in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, that was our last question. I'm sorry. We're going to, there is a resource fair upstairs that has all of, or several city departments, and we invite you to join us upstairs. Again, we thank you all for coming. Have a great evening, and God bless.